Alchemist with Galaxy Inc. And it's been a hot minute since you've seen me, like 2 years or something like that. This is the third time I've recorded this because I realized that I didn't turn on the lights and I was in the dark. So yeah, hopefully actually this video is a little tighter or something. I don't ramble as much, or who knows. So what I want to share with you in this video is how I'm going to be going a little bit different direction, but I realized that I hadn't shared with anybody why I started this channel, what my purpose in it was, and why I might be shifting a little. It doesn't mean I'm going to be shifting completely. I'm still going to be offering writing advice, but you'll understand. I also want to make sure that you understand my background and where I've come from, where I'm going, and where I'm at now, so that you know what my purpose and goals are behind the videos that I'm creating now, as opposed to the ones I was making 2 years ago. So when I originally started this channel, I started this channel because I had gone to grad school. I went and got a master's degree in creative writing, and it cost me like $42,000. And the experience was great. I had a fantastic writing community. I had wonderful advisors and professors who provided so much feedback and experience for me in creative writing. I didn't go to grad school though necessarily to learn about how to write. That was the byproduct. What I went to grad school for is because I graduated with a bachelor's degree in 2007 and the bottom in publishing dropped out and I couldn't get a job in publishing to save my life. And so I figured if I went and got a terminal master's degree, an MFA, I could at least teach at a university or college as an adjunct professor or something like that. So it was really to further my career, not necessarily to further my education. And I realized when I was looking on YouTube and looking at like writing tips and things like that, one, there was a lot of information that's like 10 reasons for this and 5 reasons for that and 6 reasons for this. A lot of clickbait titles. I wasn't using them before. I'm going to start using them now. Sorry. That's how the YouTube algorithm works. I don't like it, but I'm going to start using it. But I realized while doing that research that there was a lack of kind of like this master's class thing. They are behind paywalls a lot of times, and I don't think that you need to pay a bunch of money in order to learn some of the basics of writing. Now, do not have a problem if you spend money. Sometimes it's necessary. If you really do not know how to write, you need to probably pay some money and learn how to do that and build a community and create those things. However, you don't always have to. Or maybe you want to start somewhere small and then work your way up to something like that. If that's the case, I wanted to provide some kind of master's class program. So I actually went through my journals, they're down there, and my school journals, and pulled out some of these lessons that I learned when I was in grad school to provide for you, to make sure that people understand what a hook is and how to pick out a beta reader and what are people looking for when it comes to sci-fi or fantasy. What are the different levels, things like that. I wanted to give you, my watchers and viewers, a master's class in creative writing and give you information that you hopefully can go on to write better books and maybe get your book published eventually. Now, the reason I haven't been posting is frankly because life just got busy and crazy. And I'll explain in a minute how it got even more crazy than it was. And then COVID was happening, still kind of happening. And things just got a lot out of hand. And I am not a natural video editor, so I was struggling with, finding the time to edit, especially as I got busier and busier and busier. So to give you a little bit of background about me and my obsession with books. So I've been obsessed with books since I was about 12. I discovered a book called A Way is a Strange Place to Be by H.M. Hoover. I read it. I fell in love with books after that, and I've been reading and collecting ever since. Now, that said, I did not discover that publishing was a real career until I was like 22. And I know you're thinking that's crazy. Why didn't you know that? You loved books. Yes, I did. But I didn't have a guidance counselor. I was homeschooled. I didn't have anybody encouraging me to go to college. I was encouraged to stay out of debt, which I disobeyed later. But I was encouraged to stay out of debt, not to go to college. And so I really struggled with finding career. I went to school originally and I got an associate's in fine arts in theater. I don't know why I thought theater was like the thing to do, but it was something that I loved, and for some reason in my mind, books were the thing that I did for fun, and you could work at a bookstore, but I didn't think about like editing them. Like that wasn't a thing that I even thought about. Like and nobody mentioned it to me. There was no guidance counselor to give me advice. So I went and worked at a bookstore at 18. I worked at Borders Books and Music, volunteered at library before that, and went to school for theater. And I worked for several theaters after I graduated, professional theaters, and I had one bad experience after another. And let me tell you that after several really bad experiences, I was like, I need to reevaluate my life. And it all came to a head. I had a grandfather who we were told was dying, and we needed to come say goodbye. And so I told my boss at one of the theaters I was working at that I wouldn't be able to be there. We needed to do a pickup rehearsal. My assistant stage manager, because I was doing stage management at that point, which is definitely more my strength than acting. I'm not a bad actress, but stage management and like organizing things is definitely one of my strengths. And my boss told me I needed to get my priorities straight. And so I told him he was right, and I told him I quit. And that was the last time I worked at a theater. But I had to like reevaluate my life at that point, and that's when I decided, that's when my brain just went, oh, you love books. Why don't you work with books? And I was like, duh. So I went back to school for publishing. I went to Emerson College, got a degree in publishing. There's not many colleges that have bachelor's degrees in publishing, so I spent a lot of money and went into debt for that. And then the bottom dropped out of publishing, or everything really, in 2008, and I couldn't get a job publishing to save my life. I was doing freelance work. I had done an internship. I have done a lot of various, lots of freelance work. And then I finally got a job in publishing in 2010. Then that didn't work out. I went back to the bookstore, Barnes & Noble. It felt like I was working my way backwards though, and I did not like Barnes & Noble nearly as much as I liked Borders. I formed like lifelong friendships with people at Borders. That is not the case with people I worked at Barnes & Noble. But I do know why Barnes & Noble is still in business, and I'd be happy to answer your questions if anybody had them about that, and the differences between the two bookstores. So I did end up working in publishing. I worked in academic publishing. I've done tons of freelance work now. I've worked as a content editor for the City of Raleigh Parks and Recreation Department, which I just quit a week ago. And the reason I quit is because I am now full-time acquisitions editor and head of the structural editing department at New Degree Press. So that was a job that I got when I was still doing freelance, when I started my own freelance business, Galaxy Inc. I got this job working just part-time doing editorial work, structural and developmental editing for first draft manuscripts for this newish company called New Degree Press. I knew nothing about this company. All I knew was they were going to pay me some money to edit books, and that's what I love to do. So, And as I've been working for them for the past 3 years almost, I have fallen in love with this company and their ethos and their goals and what they do. And so last May, when they asked me if I wanted to be the head of the department, I said absolutely. And when again it came up like, hey, we want to kind of redirect this department and start doing more acquisitions work. Are you willing to do that? I said yes, absolutely. So what that means is, and what that means for this channel, is that I'm going to be open about what I do. I am an editor, and I am the head of a department, and I am a head acquisitions editor for a hybrid assisted self-publishing company. So this company that I work for, NDP, is assisted self-publishing. Our goal is to help writers create the best books that they can write. It might not be the best book in the whole wide world, but it is the best book that the author can write. And something they can be really proud of at the end. I don't have a whole lot to do with the money, but we do use pre-sales and crowdfunding to crowdfund the books. The books right now, the authors maintain all of their royalties and rights after the book is published, so it is self-published and they keep the rights in books. Our books have gone into bookstores and libraries and things like that, so our books are out there for people to read. You can do print on demand as well because, you know, that's a thing for everybody now. But my role at the very beginning is to bring in authors, and whether it's through our sister company, the Creator Institute, where they are learning how to write and then they come to us once their book is done, or bringing in authors who have books that are ready to go, who like our business model and are willing to publish through our company. And what you get in return is editorial support and help with your marketing and help with your pre-sale campaign. You also get help with the design, layout, typesetting, proofreading, copy editing. You get the whole package while also, you know, keeping the rights to your book at the end and getting a lot of say in like the design of the book and things like that. So why am I so excited about this company? I have spent my life working with books, and there's so much gatekeeping in the industry, and particularly with traditional publishing. So most publishers say that out of 100 authors that submit their manuscript, they might pick 1 or 2 to be published, which is a pretty low rate. That's like a 1 to 2% rate of book acceptance. And that's once an author has finished the book, and that's if the author has a book that's unique enough for that particular publisher or agent to take them. So for example, when I worked at a children's book publisher, I had a book and I thought it was really good, and I brought it to my editor and I said, this is a really great book, we should publish this book. And she said, okay, tell me what it's about. And so I said, okay, well, I started going through the summary, and she goes, wait, does it has a midwife in it? Can't publish that. We already have a book with a midwife in it. Yeah, but that's a sci-fi book. This is a book about, this is a young adult historical fiction. They're not even the same genre. Oh, no, we already got a book with that. So this author wrote this fantastic book that I loved, and it didn't get published. And as far as I can tell, because I do check up every now and then on books that I've read and loved, it still hasn't been published. And she wrote a great book. And why wasn't it published? Because we already have a book with a midwife in it? And I'm sure that somebody else had some other reason. Oh no, we already have a book about minors. Oh no, we've published too much historical fiction this year. Oh, it just didn't interest me, you know. And you're writing for the intern almost. So the intern didn't find that information. The intern doesn't like historical fiction that much. She likes fantasy books or whatever. So there's all this gatekeeping that keeps books from getting published. Really good books from getting published, not just like, you know, what we think of in our heads is like these bad self-published books that are like, you know, badly edited and whatever. Like, we have great books out there that are sitting in people's drawers or on their hard drives that are not being published, and that really bothers me. And so what I see with New Degree Press and other hybrid publishers as well is removing some of that gatekeeping and saying your book has value because you wrote it and you're a unique individual, and we think that you have something important to say, and you have the right to say it, and you have the right to try to get it published, and how can we help you make it good enough that people will want to read it. I like that. That's a good business model to me. And I tell authors all the time, because I meet with authors constantly and talk about their books and say, look, I don't care about the money because I don't have anything to do with that part. I am here to help you make your book the best it can be. So as I continue with this channel and offering advice, it should come from the understanding that I am an editor for a living. You can submit books to me through our website or by contacting me directly. We publish a little bit of everything, although we do not publish picture books, because picture books are a whole different animal, colored printing and all that stuff. We do have an author right now trying to do color printing for a cookbook. Most cookbooks are color printing. And it's going to be a lot more money to publish this book because it's color printing and it has to be on thicker paper, and like there's all this other stuff that gets played into it. Additional costs for books that are larger, because larger books take longer to edit and longer to copy edit and longer to proofread and require more paper and all that stuff. So there's a lot of things that go into it. We try to be very open and transparent about what we do and how we do it. Our contracts are like 2 pages long, and we try to leave out the legalese so that authors are really aware. And one day I will talk about contracts with you guys. You don't need an agent to submit to us. And what you do need is a complete manuscript. I can't publish a book that's not done. And if it's not done or you need help writing, Creator Institute is our sister company. So I am representing my company as an acquisitions editor and as a structural editor for my department. And I am happy to read lots of things. I have a ton of wonderful editors that work for me that I have hired personally, and I'm very happy with their work. I'd love to see their comments, and trying to make books better books. And there are a whole bunch of books that have come out that I am super proud of. And when they're done, I put them on my website. So if you've been to my Galaxy Ink website, or it's linked, below, I've got several books that I'm really proud of. Is there some negative press about New Degree? Yes, there is. In fact, one of the authors who I edited and loved her book, and it's on my website, and I haven't taken it down, she wrote like this thing about how much she hated working with us, which made me really sad because I liked her book. And she didn't really say anything about me in general. I think she said that she didn't feel like her editors got the book or something like that. And that's not true. Her book is so different from my own life experience, but I really liked it. I thought it was good, and I edited it at the best of my abilities. And I was really bummed that she wrote this article that said how awful we were when I worked so hard on her book. Also, we can't fix problems that people don't tell us about, so yeah, there's some stuff out there that I don't love. But there's so many things that I fix too, that when people come to me and say, hey, there's not enough blank, or I feel like I'm not being supported, or I feel like we can fix that. And yeah, I work really hard to make sure that my department has wonderful editors who can work in a variety of subjects. I've got a poetry person. I've got somebody who specifically does more of our startup and technology books, because that's what she's good at in her area of expertise. I've hired people who specifically know about business, or people that are younger, so that we also have a little bit of this mentorship like thing going on. And I love the work. And so now, as I'm building up this channel, and I've already got a network in this channel, so I might as well start using it again, right? I'm going to start talking about some of my experiences, and I will be very general. I will not be talking about specific authors, unless those authors wanted to be like interviewed or something. But specifically, just kind of talking about my experiences, still kind of doing what I've been doing. Let's talk about, I was thinking about for next week, talking about contracts, what that looks like for traditional publishing, what that also looks like for hybrid publishers, what you need to look out for, what can be a bit scammy and you need to watch out for. And I've thought about also including, things not to say to your editor. I think that would be an interesting one. I think I've kind of covered some of that in other videos, but yeah, things that maybe you shouldn't say to your editor, like, I'm not going to change this at all, and you can't make me. So basically a slight shift in the content to be more focused on the editorial side of things. So me as the editor giving you advice as a writer, but also with all of this knowledge and experience and background that I have, that I'm bringing to the table, with the understanding that I do work for a publisher and you can submit to me. And I don't read all of the manuscripts, to be clear. I have a team of people that does that work, because again, I want to make sure that if I'm not a database analyst, that maybe our business person or our technology person is a better person to read that book and determine whether it's it's good enough to move forward through our process and get published. Because it's assisted self-publishing, it does mean that you have to do a lot of the legwork, not all of it. And we do try to provide services to help authors, so having like audience building boot camps, giving authors a lot of stuff. We use a lot of templates. I tell authors all the time they don't have to use our templates. The templates are there though because we've got a lot of people who are not marketing people, and they do need the template to help them. But if you're a video person and you know how to create a book trailer, more power to you. Like let's use your experience to make this a better experience for everybody. It's kind of a tangent that I don't really need to go on, I think. But anyways, I probably should have had a script for this because I'm not really sure where to go from here. But that's basically it. That's where I've been. I've not been around because I've been really busy, and I've been taking over the management of an entire department and retraining everybody and making sure that everybody's on the same page, and we're offering our authors a good experience while also offering building the company up and bringing in more authors. And that's what I ultimately want. I want more authors to consider hybrid publishing. I would love to see, personally, if you watch this channel, more sci-fi and fantasy, more middle grade and young adult books. I would love to see, there's certain genres that are very saturated, and nothing wrong with writing in those genres. I see a lot of self-help books, a lot of memoirs, and a ton of business self-help, thought leadership, those kind of books. But there are a lot of areas that are not covered. I don't have a lot of humor books that I see. Political books are, never touched on really. I don't see a lot of sports. People don't write about sports or music very often, which is really interesting. I don't see those very often. I don't see a lot of mysteries. You would think that people would be writing more mysteries, and I don't see a lot of romance. And I'm not sure where those people are publishing, although I have heard that the romance community and the romance self-publishing community is pretty built up. So maybe that's just not something we have to dip our toes into. But those are things that I don't see a lot of, and I would love to see more of. Things that we don't publish, anything with graphic violence. We don't do picture books, graphic novels yet. We've talked about it, but it's a different animal, and we really have to feel that out and figure it out before we start offering it. We don't publish things with the isms, so racism, blatant prejudice. There are some things that kind of is a tough balance because we do see ourselves as the freedom of press organization, so we don't lean in any particular direction when it comes to politics or morals or whatever. However, if your book is blatantly misogynistic or blatantly prejudiced, or even kind of balances the line where it's going to raise some eyebrows and it might ask for it to be removed. So, and you're probably thinking, what is that? So, for example, I had a book that was submitted, an unsolicited submission through our website. The author did not warn us that there was graphic content. And so as we were reading the book and scrolling through, my editor was reading it and evaluating it, and she came across a dick pic. And she immediately closed the file, sent me a message, and said, "I'm not reading the rest of this book." And so we had to go to the author and say, "Hey, that wasn't cool. One, we wouldn't publish something with that in it. Two, I don't think that you have rights to these pictures. And three, you should have warned us before we were reading that. And if you want us to continue to make a determination on this book, you need to remove that. And if there's anything else in there that meets the criteria of graphic nature or violence, you need to remove it." Which she did, and we reevaluated the book. We are always happy to read a book again. We also had a book that had the R word in it and felt a lot like a revenge fantasy, and we were like, yeah, this book isn't for us. This is not the kind of thing that we publish. There are other people that will, and that's not a problem. And I don't feel bad for saying no, because again, we're assisted self-publishing. You can just go self-publish it. And, you know, we want to help. We want the book to be better, but there is also a limit on what we're willing to do. Books that I'm happy to say yes to, I think every author is a unique person, a unique individual with unique stories and interests. And what makes a book different and unique is not that they're writing about something new, because there's nothing new under the sun. What makes it unique is them, their voice. So what I look for when I'm evaluating manuscripts, I'm looking for a good voice. You want to write a nonfiction book about, politics, but you don't include any of you in there. Why am I reading this then? It's just another book on politics. You want to write a biography about some famous person, that's great, but there needs to be something else in there. There's a reason why people like certain authors, because they add a little bit of their own self into the story, and that's what makes it interesting. That's what makes it engage with the reader, and that's why we want to read it. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for fun and interesting books with unique voices, not unique subjects necessarily, but unique voices. And I want to read your drawer books, the books that you've got kind of tucked away in a hard drive that maybe didn't get published. And if you're interested in an assisted self-publishing model that can offer you all of the editorial feedback you want, while also giving you an opportunity to keep your royalties, definitely look up our website and let me know. And as for this channel, like I said, I will keep on keeping on with my advice and my information about editing and writing advice and things like that, but maybe with a little bit more clickbaity titles. And I feel like I've rambled a lot in this video. You're probably like, if you made it this far, good for you. But that's neither here nor there. I want to make sure that the viewers know who I am, what I'm doing, and that I'm being completely upfront and honest about who I am and what I'm representing at this moment. I am representing my company, Galaxy Inc., but I'm also representing the company that I work for full-time, New Degree Press. So I will be doing both. And so if you want to hire an editor and you are not interested in doing assisted self-publishing or working with New Degree Press, you can also hire me. And you can find me at galaxy-inc.com, and you can submit through my website, and I can give you a quote about how much it'll cost. And that's it. I am Venus. I'm with Galaxy Inc. and New Degree Press. I hope that your writing is out of this world.